A boss be rising, baby TV's igniting, turn the volume up, yeah the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling when she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback.
Nobody warns you that one of the hardest parts of raising children happens after they're already raised. When they're little and they fall, you pick them up. But when they're hungry, you feed them, right? When something goes wrong, your entire job is to help fix it. Then one day that child is 30 or 40 years old, life knocks them flat. And suddenly everybody expects you to remember that they're an adult. Excuse me, my mom button did not come with an expiration date. So tonight we're asking a question every parent of a grown child eventually faces. When your adult child is struggling and you have the ability to help, how much help is too much?
Need advice? Ask a bee. The answers may not be perfect, but they'll be entertaining. Submit your letters and let Bee mind your business for a while.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Before I get started on anything, I'm just going to say flat out, I am sorry about the technical difficulties last night. As you can see, I'm holding myself a mic, and hopefully you can hear me just fine this time because last night's show was completely mute. My mic on my computer went out, and it didn't have the mic on my camera set up. So apparently, it just bypassed everything. But we're going to get into this night anyway, and I'll do that one again tomorrow or some other day. All right, so welcome back to Ask a Bee, technical difficulties free, where the answers may not be perfect, but they'll definitely give us something to talk about. So this week we're talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention: parenting after the children are grown. Because apparently nobody hands you a retirement certificate when your youngest turns 18. Now, your children grow up, build lives, have relationships, pay bills, raise children of their own, and you know what? Deal with every adult problem there is. But you're still the parent. And when life hits one of them hard, every instinct you spent years developing tells you to help your kid, right? Hello, Alan. Hola. Sorry, I don't speak much more than that, but happy to have you anyway. So, tonight's letter comes from a mother trying to figure out where helping ends and rescuing begins. Let's pull that letter up. All right, scoop me on over. Now then, let's read. Dear B, my daughter is grown, has children of her own, and lately life has been hitting her from every direction. Money is tight. Things keep going wrong with her car. Work has been unpredictable. And every time she seems to get one problem handled, another one appears. I remember being her age and struggling too. So when she calls me upset, every instinct I have says to help. Amen. If I have some extra money, I'm going to give it to her. If she needs something for the kids, I want to buy it. If the car breaks down, I immediately start figuring out how everybody is going to get where they need to go. The thing is, she isn't irresponsible. She works, she takes care of her children. She isn't sitting around waiting for somebody else to rescue her. She is, pardon me, genuinely trying, and sometimes life is simply expensive, exhausting, and unfair. Honestly, watching her work that hard and still struggle makes it even harder for me to stand back. No habla español. Sorry, but thank you. Still, I appreciate you. All right. And my husband thinks I help too much. He says there will always be another emergency, and that sometimes adults have to struggle through things because that's how we learn to handle life. hmm Intellectually, I understand what he's saying because I know some of the hardest periods of my own life taught me things I never would have learned if somebody had immediately removed every obstacle. Emotionally, though, I keep thinking if I can keep my child and grandchildren from hurting, why wouldn't I? Can't argue with that logic now, can you? Then I start questioning myself. Am I helping her to get through a difficult season, or am I making sure she never has to discover how capable she really is? Am I teaching her that family helps family, or am I accidentally teaching her that mom will always be the emergency plan? And what happens someday if she needs help and I simply don't have anything left to give? Ooh, tough questions. I thought parenting adult children would mean I could finally stop worrying about whether I was making the right parenting decisions. Instead, the decisions just became less obvious when she was little. Helping was easy to recognize. Now, helping could mean giving her money, watching the grandchildren, giving her a ride, helping her make a plan, listening while she cries, or sometimes doing absolutely nothing except saying, I know this is hard, but I also know you can handle it. Maybe that's the part I'm struggling with most. How do I know what kind of help she actually needs? Where is the line between supporting an adult child through a genuinely difficult season and rescuing them from problems they need to learn how to solve themselves? And when every motherly instinct in me says, fix it, how do I know when loving my child means letting her fix it herself? Signed, Mom's Emergency Fund. Okay, guys, let's talk about this one because this one's a little bit tougher, I'd say. All right. Oh, lots of good questions, too. Hi, Ellen. Bye, Ellen. I don't know if you're leaving or not, but it's very good to have you. Thank you. Okay, so talking point here. Let's try and answer some of these questions if I can. I'll certainly try. When does help become rescue? Okay, there's a huge difference between helping your adult child through a genuinely difficult season and becoming the reason they never have to figure out how to survive one. Everybody needs some help sometimes. A job disappears, a car breaks down, rent goes up, a relationship falls apart, somebody gets sick, or three emergencies arrive at the same week, right? Helping during those moments doesn't automatically mean that you're enabling somebody. But if mom is always the first call, the first wallet opened, and the first person expected to make the problem disappear, eventually you have to ask whether you're helping your children recover or becoming part of the system they rely on instead of themselves. You know, maybe the important question isn't simply how often you're helping, right? Maybe it's whether your help is moving them towards stability or whether you're solving the same emergency over and over again. That's really something to consider, because what if it's the same thing over and over again? And you've known this, you've always known this. So it can happen, right? It becomes a problem. And one of these days, you need to face this because they need to face this. One day, you're not going to be there. It's inevitable. You can't always fix things. Like, I'll be honest with you, okay? My mother was that type. She was amazing. Anytime I needed somebody to fix anything for me, I could call my mom, And hi, Mohammed. Hello. Hello. So, you know, my mom would, all I'd have to do is say, Mommy, help. And she was there. And there were times that, sure, I probably thought, well, maybe I shouldn't call my mom, but I did anyway. but that was because she said yes a lot. And then there was a point in my life where I thought, I'm really relying on her too much. And then we also had a point in time where we weren't getting along very well, and I didn't have her at all. It was depressing. It was hard. It was extremely hard. When my mother passed away 6 years ago, it was the most difficult time of my life, and for selfish reasons. And you know what? I'm happy to be able to say that now. I couldn't before, but yeah, for selfish reasons. Hello, Sir Wu. Is that how you say your name? I hope I didn't butcher that because I'm not really good with names, but hello, very happy to have you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Very kind of you to say. But honestly, something happened also once I got over the real grief, right? Because when your girl loses her mom, Sir W, okay, thank you. Thank you. So, the really hard part about it, honestly, was selfish in a large way because I wanted my mom there. And you know what? You don't have to feel like you're being selfish for those not to be selfish feelings. The thing about grief is it should be more of a celebration of life when somebody passes away because when they're gone, they're not truly gone. I know it sounds simple and maybe I am, but my mother is still here with me and I know this. These times that I would call her, now that I can't, I still talk to her and she still helps me a great deal. No, she doesn't answer me back. I mean, come on. When you pray, does God answer you? Do you hear his voice? Or do you see things that make you believe? I see things that make me believe. A butterfly. Um, Mostly butterflies, of course. My mother had one butterfly tattoo on her back, and it was for me. And she was the butterfly queen, as far as I'm concerned. And that's the thing. When she left, I was upset because she was gone, not because, well, because she wasn't there to fix things for me anymore, because she wasn't there to call her when I needed something or have her call me and say, hey, how y'all doing? You need anything? Because she did that a lot. I had 3 grandchildren for her. She had one child, me. She wanted a boy. She didn't get to have a boy. I had 2. Made up for it. That's what we do, right? That's how we live. That's how we give to our parents. By doing more, and I, I want to say more, but I always felt like I needed to be one step ahead of my own mom. And that gave me ambition. Hello, Sheila. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. But seriously, that's the thing what I'm trying to say is right now, no, she's not physically here. I live in the house that she paid for. I live with all her memories and I mean her things are still here. But when I need somebody like my mommy, I can talk to the wind and she's there. I don't have to pick up my cell phone now. And I can feel her with me. It's not like her putting her hand on my shoulder and smiling at me or anything, which I would love to see, obviously, but she's still here. And look, I don't know if it's just in my head or not. I just know she's here and I'm okay with that. And I had the hardest time because, she wasn't here to fix things for me anymore. And when I finally got over being selfish about her not being here for me, I became more there for her and myself. And I think that's really important, especially when you have adult children that are watching you when you lose your parents and how you act and and the steps that you take to get through it. And I really hope that I taught my children something by going through that, just understanding that, I had some strength under there that I didn't even know about, and they figured it out. And that's important. If they can watch me be strong, then when it's my turn to go, they'll be strong too, right? That's my hopes. I truly hope that when I'm going, I know it's going to hurt them. And we all know that's for selfish reasons because you want them there with you. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish like that, okay? In fact, I will feel blessed if my kids feel that selfish at that point in time. But the point I'm trying to make is sometimes our parents, as parents of adult children, we enable them by not letting them learn by their own mistakes. And my mother did that a lot. And there were a lot of things in the first couple of years after she was gone that just, I mean, took my breath away, to put it politely. Okay. Kicked me in the rear, whatever you want to say. But because she enabled me in those ways, and handled those things, I'd never, ever in my life dealt with somebody's funeral. My mother's was my very first. And I think I rocked it, honestly, because I did the services. I am ordained. I've been doing weddings for a long time now. And she was my first funeral. And may not be my last, but if I were to do any other, it would have to be a very close family member. And that's hard. It was hard to do my mother's, but I managed it. I found that strength. And let me tell you something, even though she enabled me through the years, giving me all the space to, not learn from my mistakes, I found a strength in me that she left for me the day that I had to stand up at that podium and talk to my family about this woman who was only 64 years old. Yeah, it was a surprise. And I'll be honest, the day that she passed away, I learned how strong I really was. I didn't figure that out for a little while, but that's when it started. And I've had to fight for her house. I've had to do so many things that my mother would have taken care of if she were here. And that's the hard part about being the mother or father of adult children, you know, because you want them to have a better life, especially if it was hard for them growing up. You want to make up for that, right? But yet you have to stop. You have to give them their chance to make their own mistakes. There's no other way around it. Because if they don't learn when you're gone, there's not going to be anybody to teach them or to help them dust themselves off when they finally pick themselves up for the first time. That's important. And I've started not saying no to my children, just being a little less helpful, letting them figure it out. I volunteer some, yes, of course I do. There are big seasons that we have to get through, right? But not always. Sometimes I'll let them come to me first. They know I know the word no, though, and that's a big one. And I've started teaching them, it's okay to say no to me too. I think that's important. I think that's extremely important. So, hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. Is it Razio Perez? I think. I hope I didn't mess up your name. Very happy to have you. So your child grows up, but the that's my baby button doesn't, you know? Your adult child can have a career, a spouse, a mortgage, a child of their own, right? But when they call and say something is wrong, some ancient switch inside you still flips. That's because for years, your job actually was fixing it. Hungry? Feed them. Hurt? Comfort them. Scared? Protect them. Problem at school? Figure it out. Then adulthood changes what you're responsible for without necessarily changing what you feel responsible for. Your head sees a capable grown adult. Your heart can still remember the little person who reached for your hand when something hurt. Learning to separate those two reactions may be one of the hardest adjustments in parenting grown children. It really is. Struggling doesn't automatically mean they're failing at adulthood either, though. Sometimes we're so afraid of enabling grown children that we treat needing help, pardon me, as proof somebody isn't independent enough. And that's not quite fair now, is it? But grown adults have always helped one another through difficult seasons. There's nothing wrong with that. Families share homes, food, transportation, childcare, money, information, and responsibilities. There is a major difference between someone refusing to carry their own weight and someone carrying everything they possibly can while life keeps adding weight to the pile. An adult child can it, asking for help doesn't necessarily mean you failed to teach them either, okay? Maybe a better measure is what they do with the help. Are they using it to move forward? Are they also making sacrifices? Are they trying to change the situation, or does every rescue simply reset the clock until the exact same emergency happens again? Sometimes the best help isn't the help they asked for. Your adult child might call asking for money when what they really need is help figuring out why they're short every month. They may need emergency childcare today, while the bigger problem is an impossible work schedule. They may ask you to solve the immediate crisis because, that's the only problem they can see while they're overwhelmed. Parents have something adult children don't have yet: more years behind them. That's simply it. Sometimes that perspective can be more valuable than the checkbook. Help might be a meal, a ride, watching the kids, making a phone call, finding a resource, sitting down with the bills, brainstorming options, or simply listening long enough for them to stop panicking and start thinking. Listen, solving today's emergency may help for 24 hours. Helping somebody become better equipped for the next emergency can last a lifetime. So, I guess my ruling: if you can take the struggle away, should you? If your child is genuinely trying, life has knocked them down, and you have the ability to make things easier, is stepping in simply what family does? Or are there struggles we have to follow our children to experience, or allow our children to experience, because overcoming them is part of becoming stronger adults? And here's the uncomfortable part: when we rush in to rescue our grown children, are we always doing it because they truly need rescuing? Or are there times when watching them struggle hurts so much that fixing their problem is partly about making ourselves better? There's a little selfishness in that. How do you support the person you love without accidentally teaching them that they cannot survive without you? That's the biggest question here. Look, maybe parenting adult children means learning an entirely new definition of help. When they're little, love often looks like solving the problem because they genuinely cannot solve it themselves. When they're grown, love may look like standing beside them while they work their way through it. And that's the better decision, don't you think? Sometimes that still needs means opening your wallet, okay? open your home, watching the grandchildren, or saying, "Come here, we'll figure this one out together." Other times, it might mean doing the much harder thing and reminding them that you believe they're capable, and then resisting every instinct telling you to take over. Maybe the goal isn't to make sure grown children never struggle. Maybe it's to make sure they know they never have to struggle alone. So tell me what you think. When your adult child is having a hard time and you could make it easier, where do you draw the line between helping and rescuing? Listen, until next time, remember our children may grow up, but apparently the worrying part of parenthood missed that memo. Y'all be good to each other, be good to yourselves. Go see Tuber Chat because I love these guys. Listen, I'll buzz you later. See you tomorrow night.
I want to take a minute to shout out Tuber Chat. If you're a creator who's tired of surface level advice, says, and actually wants to understand how YouTube works, that's the space. It's real conversations with real creators who are in the trenches building channels, testing ideas. No posturing, no gatekeeping, no fake guru energy, just people sharing what's working, what isn't, and why. If you're serious about growing, learning, and not doing this alone, check out Tuber Chat. The link is in the description.
Boss be right.